What happens if you pass away without a will? The courts will decide who's going to be getting your assets, and the courts will decide who's going to manage and distribute those assets out to those people. And so, in terms of who's going to be getting your assets, without a will that outlines how your assets should get distributed and to who, the courts will have to decide who's going to be getting your assets. They use the intestate laws of your state to determine who's getting your assets. As an example, in Georgia, your assets get split evenly between your spouse and your kids, with your spouse getting a minimum of 1/3. If you don't have a spouse but you have kids, your kids will distribute those assets evenly between themselves. If you don't have a spouse or kids, your parents will get the assets. If you don't have parents, your siblings will get the assets, and so on. It varies per state. In terms of who's going to be in control of the management and distribution of those assets, it's basically going to be a first come, first serve. Whoever wants to be the administrator of your state, they will file for the layers of administration. If they're the only person, the courts are going to give them the layers of administration. They'll be able to take over your state, manage it, and then distribute that out to your beneficiaries. If there are multiple people who want to be the administrator of your state, they will all file the layers of administration, and then the courts will have to decide who's going to be able to be the person that would be that individual. And it's likely, unless it's a very clear cut, like a family member and or your kid, they're going to choose the kid. But if it's two kids, those kids would typically have to hire probate attorneys to come in and argue their case to the court system for the judge to decide who's going to be able to be the administrator. And so that's just going to rack up attorney fees unnecessarily, which could potentially wipe out your inheritance. Goodness, get out here. So it's much cleaner just to have a will that outlines the distribution of your assets and who's going to be in control of the management and distribution of those assets.